I learned early on that nutrition and exercise have to be balanced in order for there to be really good results in your life. So I really latched onto it even as I started my degree program. I graduated December 2019 as a healthy lifestyle coach. And ever since then, things have been up and down because of COVID. But I started my business, and I have started working on doing a blog so that I can get information out there. And to be quite honest, that's been a little bit harder than what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I talk a lot, but talking doesn't necessarily mean people want to listen. So, going through my own healthy lifestyle coaching as well, going through that. I am in Northern Virginia, and I'm a grandmother of 3 boys. And I'm a grandmother type of full time. So I watch my youngest, the baby, he's 7 months old. And learning how to coach my grandchildren have been really interesting because you want to start young. You don't want to just leave things behind. And eating good food is one of the biggest things. I've been trying to get them not to eat McDonald's, but I'm not their mother. So I have no control over that whatsoever. But it's just really, it's been really interesting to see how without eating good food, our bodies react the way that they act for a reason. So, so let's get started. I hope this works. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with my handy dandy presentation. Uh-oh, now what? Okay, there it is. So I thought about the title, choosing to eat outside the box, because as a college student, even as a single person, a box of macaroni and cheese, ramen noodle soup, all those things have been a staple in a lot of sense to our eating. And when I graduated from college, I made a vow that I would never go back to eating that way. So the question I'm asking is, are you willing to eat outside the box, and why? So I want to ask this icebreaker question for those of you who are listening. And I believe the chat box is open. If not, someone will let me know. So what information do you rely on when you're thinking about eating a whole food or whole grain meal as opposed to fast food or a comfort meal? And anyone can jump in and share whenever you want.
So Linda, can you ask that question again?
Yes, I'm sorry, Tim, I talk really fast sometimes.
All right.
What information do you rely on when you are thinking about eating a whole grain or a whole food meal as opposed to a fast food or a comfort food meal? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I rely on valid information, credible information I get from the university or from peer reviews, articles, or that kind of thing. So I'm very health conscious. I worry about my nutrition and my exercise quite a bit.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, Tim. Anyone else? Don't be shy. I'll share a little bit. Before I started school, I didn't have a very big picture of what eating whole foods or whole grain really looked like because I wasn't really seeing it modeled like in my family. So it was really hard to figure out what that would look like for me. And since taking nutrition classes and stuff like that, I've gotten a better understanding of what that looks like, but it still took a process. It took a journey of trying to figure out, how do I stop my old eating habits and try to incorporate some good stuff? Does anyone else want to share? No? Okay.
For me,
so
I feel like it's a conscious decision for me because sometimes it's It depends on what I ate for breakfast and then my guilt feeling for lunch.
Right.
On my regulation and dinner, right? So it's almost like it depends on how many options I have available around me that sometimes make the choice. If I haven't made it beforehand, like doing it at the moment, it's a little bit harder.
Oh, that's a very good point. Very good point. I think somebody, oh, what do you really mean by eating whole grain or whole foods? Somebody asked that question. Um, what do I mean? Let's say you're doing some meal planning. You're at the grocery store before you're at the grocery store, and you're trying to figure out what can I eat that's good. Do I go with the trend of eating healthy and whole grain and whole wheat and all this other stuff, or do I just go back to the comfort foods that I know that are easier and I don't have to work hard to try to figure out? Because that's usually what sometimes it takes with healthy eating is I'm choosing to go to the grocery store or even at the restaurant, choosing what's a whole grain food. And I will show you what a whole grain food is defined as, um, and that'll help you to try to figure out what I'm talking about as well. But really choosing, oh, am I going to have rice over French fries, or chicken nuggets over uh, a grilled chicken breast? Just different things like that goes along with the whole grain as well as whole foods. I hope that. Oh, okay, good. That explained it. Good. I'm glad it helped. Okay, so what to expect? Today we're going to explore what foods are considered whole foods or whole grains, and unfortunately, I may use those terms interchangeably because when I think of whole foods or whole grains, I think of the two together, and that may not be everyone's understanding. But I'm just letting you know in advance. So why are they important and their benefits throughout our life stages? Our bodies go through a lot of changes from the age of 1 year old until we're, in our 50s. And so our bodies, our needs change. And so it's important to answer those needs by the way that we eat. Explore challenges, where to find reliable resources, and at the end we'll describe how and when you can commit to make a change, and that's important. We're gonna go through maybe SMART goals and try to help us think about how we can incorporate good eating if we haven't already done so. Like I said, it's a challenge because like Karen said, sometimes in the moment there's not anything healthy to eat. There's not whole foods or whole grain seed. You're like whatever's there because your body needs the fuel, and so that's really important to also take into consideration, but also not to worry about as well. So I'm not going to worry you. So when you hear the term yourself whole grain, what comes to mind? Anyone can reply. You can put it on chat as well as just to unmute yourself.
Nutritiously dense.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, let's go on. So according to my plate, whole grains or whole foods is any food made from rice, wheat, oats, cornmeal, barley, any type of cereal is a grain product, bread, pasta. Those are some of the examples of grain products. Foods such as popcorn, rice, oatmeal are also included in the grain group. And that's really important because Tim says densely, nutritionally dense. Another phrase that they also use, minimally processed. So wherever you get your food, whether it's the grocery store, whether you go to a farmer's market, whether you grow it in your own backyard, those foods that have not been processed are considered whole foods. So say if you're eating chicken nuggets, what's a better alternative? And I'm just throwing this out there. Like I said, skinless chicken breast, a breakfast bar. Normally breakfast bars are supposed to be nutritious, right? Those gym bars, they're supposed to be nutritious, but are they really, as opposed to fresh fruits and vegetables? And okay, I love my Dunkin' Donuts. So pastries and a donut. Those are not nutritious. So fruits or fruit or veggie smoothie, or just, just a regular breakfast sometimes can be much better than just, me eating my comfort foods. Okay, I know I just saw somebody who wanted to chat. Okay, let's see who's in the chat. A food that looks like you will find, wait a minute. Okay, a food that looks like you will find it in nature. Okay, I'm afraid Karen's gonna have to explain that one.
So it looks like what you would find in nature. So it doesn't look like a little bar made out of cardboard, but it looks like an apple that you will find freshly from a vine, right? That's when I think about whole foods. I think about foods that resemble what they will look like in nature.
Oh, very good points. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I mean, I love to go apple picking, and in a couple of months, I'm going to go apple picking. So fresh apples in my refrigerator. What an amazing thing to have. Or if you grow stuff in your backyard, all that stuff is considered whole foods. And it's not a bad thing to eat whole foods, but sometimes we aren't ready for that process just yet. Is that Megan? Did Megan want to say something? Nope. Sorry, Megan, you just popped up. So why should eating whole foods or whole grains matter to me or matter to you? Can someone share an answer to that, or you can do it in chat or just unmute yourself. So why should all this matter to you?
I think it should matter just so one, with how you previously had mentioned minimally processed foods, you are putting less of that into your body. Like I've had a former professor describe it as like you could eat a whole carrot from the farmer's market or eat overly processed baby carrots. Like just between those two, which one looks a little bit more appetizing?
Very good point. Someone on chat commented that you get all the nutrition you need compared to processed foods. That's a very good point. Very good point, because nature is already taking care of all the stuff that we need. So adding all the sugar and all the stuff that preserves the food, it can really mess up your body. And unfortunately, I know a lot of people have had to deal with that when it comes to dealing with gluten in their foods. So this is my little spiel. As I said, I'm not a nutritionist, but this is very near and dear to my heart because I'll say it, most people won't admit it. I'll be 50 next year. I need to consider how to take care of my body now so that, later on, I'm not having health issues because of the food that I ate. So why should eating whole foods matter to me? How much you eat depends on where you are in life, at age, level, activity, gender, all these are factors that decide what your body needs. So whole foods, whole grains, fruits and vegetables, certain fruits and vegetables don't do well with your system. But all of that is something that you have to figure out with your nutritionist or with nutritionist, registered dietitian, because sometimes you don't know. And incorporating something new into your body can really do a number on your body. So you have to definitely be careful about how you do that. There are significant health benefits to eating a more balanced diet of whole foods or whole grains. You get great sources of carbohydrates, fiber, vitamin B, folic acid, magnesium, and iron. But all of those things work together to help you to do a couple of things. It lowers the risk of heart disease. It helps with weight management. Your gut is just healthier. And who doesn't like a healthy gut? Because when your gut is healthier, your body just feels better. And it helps, and I did put down, it helps prevent tubular neural tube defects. But what about gluten-free foods? How can you what kind of substitutes that can you use to make sure that you're getting all these nutrients if you have gluten issues? Does anybody know, or has anybody come up against such a situation?
I am actually
So,
currently facing that myself.
Okay.
So I found a lot of corn products, rice is mainly what I've been able to find, and also just turning to just whole foods from our farmers market. Like the other night we had spaghetti squash, so just kind of removing a grain out of the picture entirely makes it easier as well.
Okay. And what type of barriers have you found to just doing that, as far as, okay, all of a sudden well, maybe it's not all of a sudden, but just, now I have to eat gluten-free foods. What did that start you down?
New aisles at the grocery store for sure.
Right.
And also facing how expensive some of those products can be. And that's a barrier occasionally of just normally you'd be able to buy certain boxes of cereal or something. And now it's like for the same amount of price for 4 boxes, you have 1 box that's half the size. And so just kind of figuring out what is easier to buy. And some of that is like crackers and stuff, like more highly processed items, or it could just be like, just suck it up and just buy straight up vegetables and then just figure out a meal plan around that, which is also difficult to do.
That's a very good point, Catherine, because you got to do the meal planning, especially if you do have chronic issues, chronic diseases issues. You have to just be more careful. So eating whole grains and eating, healthier, it's expensive, but it's the best for you. And like I said, as a college student, I decided when I graduated, no more ramen noodle soup and all those other things that wasn't, affecting my body in a weird kind of way. So I applaud you that your patience with yourself and knowing that this is something that's important for you to do. So thank you for sharing. And Marley says, so true. Thank you for acknowledging the barriers. Oh, awesome. Okay. So our gut, I'm sorry, did someone else want to share? Nope. I told you guys I talk really fast sometimes. So if you want to share, please jump in. So these are things that should matter to all of us, but that's not necessarily the case. And good or bad, this is something that we have to keep in mind. I come from a family of African-American women who don't have great health, and they had to change their diets. They had to change the way that they ate. And it was hard because you're used to certain comfort foods. You're used to things being cooked a certain way, and that's the only way that you'll eat it for 20, 30 years. And all of a sudden, your health is like, no, you can't do that anymore. So that is a challenge for a lot of people. Did you want to share, Tim?
So I recently decided that I'm gluten sensitive, and I cut out gluten and I started feeling much better almost right away. And now my naturopath tells me that people that are sensitive to gluten often are sensitive to corn. So now it's going to be hard to find food to eat. I guess that's a barrier for me. Finding things that are gluten-free and corn-free.
Okay. So to get to that the gluten-free, or did you already know it, or did you have to go get diagnosed for it?
Actually, I had a suspicion, and then I took a blood test and came back that I don't have celiac disease, but by that time I'd already gone gluten-free and felt way better. And so I kind of decided that, well, I've got a sensitivity, but I don't have an allergy.
Okay. That sounds great. I'm glad you did that, Tim. Because sometimes we really don't know sometimes that our body's responding to certain foods a certain way. until we do go to the doctor and find out, oh, I shouldn't have been eating something like that. So that's why it is important. It matters that your gut is healthier, and it takes work to do that.
Yeah.
Did anyone else want to share? Okay, let's go to accessibility of whole foods or whole grains and the challenges. I know Catherine mentioned some of those challenges and barriers. Can anyone else come up with some ideas of why it's the accessibility of whole grains or whole foods can be challenging? No? Yes? Okay.
Well, for me,
oh, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
yeah, for me, you know, I run to the grocery store. I've got a grocery store on every block, so I guess it's, you know, the challenge is looking at ingredients and finding the right things to buy and leaving whatever I don't want in my body at the store.
Right. That's a very good point. I didn't used to enjoy it, but I enjoy it now, looking at the labels and comparing labels, because it makes a difference. And do I buy the healthy stuff that seems to be missing stuff, or do I buy the regular stuff that has all the stuff? So that is a challenge, is going to the grocery store and figuring out what is the best for me and my body. So thank you for sharing, Tim. Did anyone else? Oh, I see a chat. Let's see. I think most at times the processed foods are just scrumptious, that letting them go needs such a brave effort. Yes. I agree with you. Your normal stuff tastes so good. They make it taste good. So it's harder for you to say no to. And that's a very good point. So do our grocery stores, all of our grocery stores look this way? In the little picture up here with all the vegetables over there? Or even just the fruit, the mango? The mango is wholesale $125, but it's $2. So in different areas, in different populations, this picture does not exist. Or if it does, it's not organic, or it doesn't look good. It looks old, or things like that. But a lot of the grocery stores, they do look like this, but it doesn't look like this in everybody's neighborhood. So just our social positions can be challenging, because the grocery stores don't all look this way. Or like Tim says, there is a grocery store on every corner. Well, in a lot of populations, that's not true. There are alternatives, of course, the farmer's market, or growing it yourself. But then again, you have to have the know-how and the energy to want to do all that, because it is easier to go to the grocery store and find this instead of going to a farmer's market. And I've had the opportunity to do all those things, growing my own vegetables, going to the farmer's market and going to the grocery store. And there is nothing like the fresh, good stuff. There just isn't. But again, cost. That says $2. I don't know why it's wholesale $125, but that's $2. And I hope that's not just for one mango. But it's expensive. It's expensive to eat good. And a lot of populations don't care. They're happy just to have food. So eating healthy is not necessarily a priority for everyone. Just being able to eat is. Having food on the table. The paycheck stretching, the food that your family needs, whether it's just one or two people, or if it's a family of 6 or 7. So all those things can be barriers and obstacles to accessing whole foods for different populations. And it's across the board sometimes. I know with COVID, even going to the grocery store when things first came out, I was horrified at the empty shelves. I mean, I was seeing elderly people look at the shelves almost in tears because there's no food. And we don't think about those things until stuff like this happens, but there can be a food shortage, intentional or not. And so that becomes a barrier to eating whole foods, or eating, nutritious food, or eating healthy. So we do have to figure out how to work through those barriers and those obstacles. Tim mentioned something very important: credible information about whole foods or whole grains. Credible information. So where can you look, or where do you look for reliable information about whole foods or healthy foods? Anybody can reply if you want. Anyone?
Well, so I already mentioned a couple, but I guess when it comes down to foods and finding out information, oftentimes I'll go to the web and I'll use various sources. I prefer to go to .gov or .org or something something more credible. But then I'll cross-reference between a few different sites and come to my own conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a good process. So when you're talking about this with someone who's not where you are, Tim, how do you help them to look for or think about reliable information over convenience?
I guess I would probably talk to them about the source of financing behind the information they're given on different sites or whatever, and help them come to the conclusion that they need to look farther than what pops out, what is financially profitable somewhere along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good point. Like we see all these great commercials about food, and then I'm good for going online and looking stuff up, because I'm like, yeah, that sounds too good to be true. And you're right. If we don't look any further than the front page, Tim, then we don't get the whole picture. We don't, until I got into school, I never thought about looking at the scientific citations to some of these articles about food, even about something as simple as eating apples. So who says eating apples is great? And I scroll down and I see the article and all the scientific information, but before I would never thought about that, because it takes work. It takes being focused on that type of information. A mother of 4 with 2 kids under the age of 5 don't have time to necessarily do that. So they have to rely on their intuition. They have to rely on, it's inexpensive, my children can eat. And I don't feel, I feel like I've done the very best that I can. So them looking for reliable information about whole foods can be hard work. And sometimes they don't have the time for that. I know a number of single moms, and they just try to do the best that they can. They make sure their kids are eating. Not processed foods, no McDonald's, home cooked meals, exercising. Those small things may seem big to them, but it really is a big deal for them and their kids. So reliable information is really important, no matter what type of foods that you're eating. And I do cite some sources for you. I know Tim talked about the .gov, not Wikipedia, not the, what is it, the Huff Post. No, actually .govs and different types of organization that focus on nutrition and food makes a big difference. Because the worst thing that we can do is go on assumptions about what food is instead of, going to the source of what food actually is for us. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Like I said, I'm talking fast. I apologize. So some of the sources that I thought were credible or helpful was Choose My Plate. They actually have meal planning, and I know that there are different eating plans or eating diets that will help you with your meal planning. But this, I chose this one in particular because it wasn't based on a diet or a plan. It was just straight up, this is what, how to help you with your meal planning. They have recipes, they have cookbooks that will actually help you build your own recipe cookbook. They give you ideas about how to incorporate whole foods and whole grains into your diet. It even allows you to look under different audiences, like teens. How do I help my teens eat certain foods? Or preschoolers or older adults or adults. And another great site, WebMD online, outlines 6 reasons to consider eating a whole food diet. And I thought that was interesting that they have to list 6 reasons why you should consider it. But like I said, not everybody's in the same place when it comes to eating, when it comes to nutrition. Sometimes people are just trying to survive. So as a coach, when you're thinking about your clients, helping them, not tell them what to do or how to do it, but just really helping them to figure out what is the best way for me and my family to incorporate this new idea of eating into our diets. And meal planning is a great way of doing that, but just also if you don't have a degree in nutrition, or if you're not a registered dietitian, just even referring them to those individuals, and they are also sources of credible information. Let's see. So SMART goals. One of the questions that I wanted to, if you're not already doing this, or if you want to improve doing this, can you commit to eating more whole foods? And because of some of the barriers that even Catherine talked about, she had to commit. Tim had to commit. There were no options to doing it for optimum health. They had to make a decision to eat healthier, to eat whole foods or whole grains, or not eat whole grains. But what will that look like for you? Some of the things that I listed, that Tim talked about, that Catherine mentioned, is advanced meal planning. You just gotta do it. But that's hard to commit to doing something like that when you don't have the time. Shopping, cooking, if you have different children who have different ideas about food, how do you shop for that in advance? Daily eating. Karen mentioned, in that moment, sometimes I just need to eat what's there. Choosing to eat whole food over healthy, heavily processed or fast foods. It's a daily choice to do it. Daily reminders, do I have the time? Can I make the time? All those things can get in the way of you making a decision or you being committed to eating whole foods. Accountability, do you have the support system? Is everybody in your house on board with you eating good food? Sometimes that's not the case, especially if you have children who are even teenagers, oh my goodness, preteens, young children who are picky eaters. But it's a support system there for eating whole foods or whole grains. And I put down mobile apps because there are a lot of mobile apps about eating good. But again, if you are wanting to commit to this, the first step is just finding those SMART goals, helping your clients even to find those SMART goals. When you're thinking about, and for those of you who do not know what SMART goals are or haven't figured out what good SMART goals are for you for eating healthy, S stands for specific. You need to be specific about what you want to do. Measurable, meaningful. What is your motivation behind doing it? So if you want to commit to eating more whole foods, is that really what's the motivation behind doing that? Achievable. Can I really attain this daily? Not, I'm going to eat whole foods for the next 6 months. No, weekly goals about, can I eat whole foods twice a week, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Relevant. Is it reasonable? Is it realistic? for me to eat the way that I'm eating. And that comes with cost. Do I have the time? Meal planning. All those things can become under, whether it's relevance and time. What is a time frame for me to do this, to set these goals? And one of the things I love is having short-term goals. Because without those short-term goals, you become very overwhelmed trying to change things that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to change, or you've tried and it hasn't worked in the past. So does that make sense as far as setting goals, specific goals for yourself, as far as eating and committing to eating more whole foods if you're not already doing so? Yes, no? I see it.
Yes.
Yes, it does. Okay. A dietitian. Someone asked about a dietitian. Sorry about that. A nutritionist. A dietitian is a one step further than a nutritionist. They are the people that can tell you specifically what to eat, what not to eat. They're more geared towards clinical work, and they're helping. Even registered dietitians can work in the cancer and oncology units, dealing with cancer, dealing with chronic disease and illnesses. They can tell you how to eat the food that you need to eat and what those foods look like. Thank you, Marley. So let's see. Okay, so I did put in some resources and some fun stuff. There's a grain quiz and a whole grain scramble, but just testing your knowledge, testing your even your desire to want to eat whole foods. And I know that everyone wants to be healthy. I don't know very many people that don't want to be healthy. I just don't. But it takes work. It takes work that I've had to do, and it's still a lot of work. And because it's when you're 30. So it's like you got to try to make that transition to healthy eating through the ages. Like I said, I'll be 50 next year, and boy, I need to ramp up my eating because so that's what I have for you guys so far. WebMD, choosemyplate.gov. I listed Healthline, nutrition. It talks about plant-based diet guide, and then some things from the USDA as well. So that's all that I have for you guys. Let me see. And like I said, my plate, I really like myplate.gov. It's all encompassing, and it gives you a better idea of what you're up against when you think about, oh, I got to change my diet, change how I eat. My children, how that changed that. My older parents, if they're living with me, how do I help my entire household as well as myself to eat whole foods or whole grains on a daily basis? So yeah, thank you so much for listening. And that's all that I have. If there's any questions, please ask. Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. Any comments?
What do you know anything about the sensitivity to corn?
I don't know a lot about it. And the reason why is, unfortunately, what I've learned is through my own life experiences. If it's not something that I'm dealing with right now, it's not something that I focus on. And I know that sounds probably very selfish, but I love corn.
I do too.
I love corn. I love popcorn, but I understand. Go ahead.
Yeah, corn products are in everything, so it's like maybe it's like we're getting too much of it or something, and people are developing sensitivities to it, just like wheat.
Exactly, and it comes back to I was going to do this whole spiel about many years ago, people didn't eat all the stuff that they're eating now, but farming has changed over the last 50 years, and how products are manufactured or incorporated has changed a lot. So yeah, I can see the developing the sensitivity to corn and wheat becoming even worse, unfortunately, because right now they're just
Yeah.
trying to make sure people are being fed, no matter where the food comes from. So
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep
so
researching that. So
please do. I mean, for your own health, but also you just never know who you'll come across who needs that information. So definitely, please share that if you do get that information.
good. So I think there was a chat question for you.
Yeah, any tips on good snacks or meals for when you are busy studying? Oh, yes. I've done almonds. I know not everybody could maybe be able to do nuts. I've gotten addicted to those little mandarin oranges and the little juice. When you eat it cold from out the refrigerator, it tastes so good, and it has a lot of fiber, so that's good for you as well. Banana chips. Um, oh gosh, there's so many things. Any type of fruit that you like will be good. Things that you can carry with you, even if it's a sandwich. What else? Definitely try to make your own snacks like trail. I know a lot of people used to do the trail mix. I know one year or a couple of years ago when it was such a big deal to have trail mix, you can make your own based on what you like. Definitely drink a lot of water when you're doing that as well. I like edamame. Yeah, those are good. You want to do stuff that's gonna give you some energy. So you want your energy, you want the good carbohydrates, the proteins, no saturated fats. Try to stay away from saturated fats as much as possible. Anything that you want to eat that will reduce the foggy brain syndrome, I like to call it, when your brain is fogged. And sometimes it comes from the food that you eat. So yeah, there are a lot of great ideas. I going to choose my plate, I think would help as well with healthy snacks. So yeah, I hope that helps a little bit, Marley. Yeah, I hope that helps a little bit. But even I'm doing chemistry now, and I have to really be careful about being at home and snacking because it's so easy to go to the refrigerator and just get whatever thing that I think is junky and just eat it because it's quick. But yeah, I have to make a conscious decision to do something healthy. So yes. Any other comments in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you like.
I'm curious to hear, can you hear me, Linda?
Yes.
I'm curious to hear if some people are thinking about some specific strategies that they may want to use this week.
Okay.
To increase their intake of whole foods. I'm just very curious to hear what's in some of the participants' minds.
Oh, okay. So do you guys have any strategies to try to incorporate some of this stuff? Even if it's just one thing. Okay. Let's see. I found frozen vegetables and fruits are helpful as a student. It's easy for me to air fry up or microwave a bag of veggies, and that's from Marley. Oh, that's a very good point.
Oh, Marley, I want to hear how you air fry vegetables.
Come on, Marley.
Yeah, I can chat about it a little bit. I'm outside, so I apologize if you hear like noises like birds and such. But yeah, air frying, I've really enjoyed my air fryer. I just turn it on about 400 degrees and I do the roast setting, and I do every vegetable you can think of, from asparagus to broccoli to, oh goodness, any vegetable. I've tried everything in there. I love it.
Oh, great.
I never have tried that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It is. It's great.
It sounds good. Now you're making me hungry. Thank you, Marley. It's almost 6 o'clock here, so I'm getting hungry. But yeah, Marley, that's a great idea. So you can roast it up and take it when you go If you're not at home or if you're at work, you can just take it with you instead of just worrying about getting fast food. So that's a great idea. Anyone else wants to share a strategy that they can use this week to incorporate whole foods or whole grains? Is that Janice? Hey, Janice.
Hello.
No. Hey, Janice, did you want to share?
No, you know what? I am so sorry. I just jumped in here late. I had actually signed up for this and forgot about it. So I was going through my announcements in my coaching class. So I just, I'm jumping in late and I apologize.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I probably don't have time to go over it again, but I know that they are
That's
recording
fine.
it.
Okay,
I
good.
have one strategy that I do frequently, and Trader Joe's has some very good frozen vegetables. And they have like this combo of peppers, red peppers, green peppers, and onions. I just love it because anytime I'm cooking anything, there it goes. I have to do no cutting.
Oh, okay.
And these ones are roasted too. So it just
Oh,
has
okay.
like
They're
a
already
little-
cooked.
Mhm. They
Oh,
have
that's
like this
nice.
little barbecue roasted flavor, and I just love them. But now I'm now curious with this Marley idea, if I put them in the air fryer, how they're gonna turn out. So I'm gonna be doing some experiments.
That sounds good. That does sound really good. So anybody else, any strategies? I think this week for me, I saw popcorn now. I want some popcorn. But when I'm snacking or feeling snacky, I think making some popcorn, I think would be a great idea for me. I have the regular popcorn maker, no the instant popping corn. I don't like that stuff anymore. So I have to actually work at it, pouring it in, standing there and letting it pop. So I know it's good. But I think just snacking, I think adding popcorn or going back to having my banana chips, I think will be a great addition for me this week.
Something that I do is I print my recipes that I plan on using for the week, and I keep them close to me so that like when I start thinking, oh crap, I don't want to make that. Well, I already went to the store and I got all the stuff for that. So it kind of keeps me better on track.
Okay. That sounds like great accountability. You spent the money, now you need to make it.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a good idea, Julie. Any other ideas?
I like the idea of not buying pre-made popcorn, like going through the process, because I'm one of those people that can sit it and eat one bag of popcorn, especially if I put cheese in it or a little bit of vinegar. Oh gosh, but it's already made, right? So I like it. If you're going through the trouble of making it, not necessarily in the microwave, but like the real one, you're probably less likely to overeat. Because by the time you're done with it, the smell just kind of fills you up.
That is very true. I am really excited after I started smelling it because I use unsalted butter.
Yeah.
And so I melt that butter and I spread it on top of it, and I got my I use kosher salt, and I sprinkle that on, and I'm good. I make a big bowl, and I will eat through that big bowl of popcorn. So I have to take my time. But it's just simple things sometimes, very simple things that we can incorporate that makes a big difference in our diets. Anyone else want to share?
Are you just sharing tips about trying to eat a little bit healthier?
Yes, strategies that we can incorporate this week to incorporate whole foods or whole grains, if people can eat whole grains in our diet this week. So you have any ideas, Janice?
You know what? I have found this really cool oatmeal that has a lot of like flaxseed and different ingredients in it to help incorporate some more whole grains into it. And it's really good. I doctor it up a little bit with a banana and some cinnamon, and
Mhm.
little tiny bit of butter. And
That's my
that's one
weakness.
way that I'm incorporating whole grains.
Okay, that sounds delicious. I love oatmeal. And when I discovered I could just dump a whole lot of different things in there, I was really happy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
so that's
so
a great idea,
filling, too.
Janice.
You know, it's oatmeal is so filling. I've also
It is.
put like a teaspoon, or depending on how hungry I am, on how many calories I'm planning for the day, of almond butter in it.
Ooh,
Mm.
And it just gives it a very good flavor as well.
yeah, that does sound good.
Mhm.
Stacy said I like to roast chickpeas.
Mm.
That sounds good. That definitely sounds good.
Do you
So
do
there are ways that we can
straight from the
incorporate this stuff.
can, Stacy?
So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I usually, sometimes I'll just soak them overnight. So I get a bunch of dried beans, and I also get ones they're in a box, but yeah, they're like canned ones. And I'll have those in case of emergencies if I don't have time to soak. But soaking's gotten really easy because I'll just leave it sit overnight, and then you boil them, and then I just put them in the oven at like 425, and you can put seasoning on them and stuff, but I just end up eating them plain, and they're almost like chips.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah, because I like munching and throughout the day I kind of just like end up grabbing stuff, and so I'm trying to find out stuff that's not as bad to just kind of munch on, although I'm trying to munch less, but you know, finding healthy ways to do that.
Right. Thank you for sharing, Stacy. That sounds like a
Sure.
great idea.
Marley, I'm curious if we can put the chickpeas in the air fryer
You can put the chickpeas in the air fryer.
and then make hummus with it.
Yeah, no, you can. You can put those in the air fryer. They turn out
Yeah.
really good.
Really? Ooh, that
Yeah.
sounds yummy. Wow, we're just making each other hungry here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
I
good-
like putting them on salad too, the roasted chickpeas.
Ooh, I
Because
bet
if
that
you
sounds.
buy them at the store, they always have a lot of salt and
Yeah.
oil on them.
Mhm.
So I've just been trying to make my own. And another thing, I know you guys were talking about trying to incorporate more whole foods. So I'm trying to have a vegetable with every meal, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. At least something green, or any vegetable. So
Mhm.
trying to do that to get more in.
So how's it been going? Do you have to plan it, or is it just random that you do it?
Yeah, it's kind of just random. Like even for breakfast, I'll grab a bag of like arugula, and then even just, I know you're supposed to sit down and like eat, but sometimes I'll just eat the arugula from the bag, and then have some fruit and a piece of whole grain toast, sprouted grain toast,
Mhm.
and almond butter. I love almond butter, so
Okay.
yeah.
So have you seen a difference in eating that way as opposed to maybe the way that you were eating before, or have you always eaten this way?
No, I mean, it's been a process. It's been a process probably the last 20 years, but I do notice a difference, and I've been eating more like vegan, whole plant, whole grain foods for the last year. And I have noticed a difference, and I notice a difference when I don't, like on a day if I don't eat
Mhm.
well or don't eat that stuff, I have trouble sleeping, and then it's like, I don't know, I get this weird numbness in my
Oh,
limbs,
wow.
and
Okay.
I do notice the difference the next
Okay.
day.
Thank you, Stacy. And
Sure.
that's a really big deal when you notice that difference when you go from not eating well to eating well. I mean, your sleep is changed, how you thinking changes, your reaction time changes, your body just goes through that process of, just almost purging all that nasty stuff out and making room for the good stuff. So that's a very good point, Stacy. Thank you. Did anyone else want to share some great strategies? Yes? No? Maybe? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for letting me share today. Like I said, this is a passion for me. I'm not a nutritionist, but it's such a passion. I've just learned to pay attention to my body a lot more, and it tells me the story of how I'm doing, and it gives me the opportunity to change it before it's too late. Like I said, I'm almost 50. I got to do some changing. I don't want to be unhealthy when I'm 60 or 70 or whenever. So now's the time for me to do that. Oh, sorry. I don't know who. Oh, telemarketer. Sorry. So thank you for letting me share my whole food, whole grain convictions. And I hope that it helped and it gave you a good start to your week. That's all that I have for you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Megan.
Linda.
You're welcome.
So much for contributing to the Grow series and being here with us. We'll see you around. And like I said, this was recorded and we share with other members that may not have been able to be here. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you.
Thank you. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye, thank you.
Bye-bye.